This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by trainer, manager, promoter, boxing extraordinaire now, Joe Gallagher. Joe, it's a pleasure to catch up with you.
Hit the right
you're all good.
Up at the gym, didn't you? Hey, we said, you ought to come up next week. Yeah, come in any day, Wednesday, bleeding, come up the Wednesday. You're supposed to be here Monday. What happened Monday?
I never heard back from you, Joe. You were supposed to get back to me.
I wasn't speaking to no one much last week, so just busy.
Obviously, we'll come on to a variety of things in a bit. As you know, I like to work through the gym leading up to the most current news. But
let's just start at the top, man.
That's what I was going to say. Everybody's going to be tuning in to talk about it. Last night, it was finally announced Canelo versus your man Callum-Smith on December 19th. How much of a relief to finally have that fight agreed and over the line?
Yeah, huge relief. First of all, I've got to say full credit to Callum-Smith and Canelo for both wanting to go head-to-head in this current climate, this pandemic. Obviously, that type of fight is something that you'd want in an 80,000 stadium, whether it be in America or Texas or Mexico. The press conferences, the tours, everything else, and the money as well. But both of them obviously willing to fight each other. In the short notice that it is, I think I said to you before off camera, I think Cam's got his 30-day check weight tomorrow, the day after, and we got on a plane in 3.5 weeks. So full credit to both of them. It just shows, no one can ever say Callum doesn't duck no one or Canelo. They're both willing to fight each other, and Callum being the number one 168-pound fighter in the world, fighting the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and what a great fight, and what a way to end 2020. And like I say, we're all looking forward now to December the 19th.
I've been texting and calling you, Joe, kind of non-stop over these past couple of weeks. And one of those reasons being that I was hearing various different things about Callum and the Canelo fight. For yourself, up until 11 p.m. last night, though, when did you actually know that the fight was agreed? Was you none the wiser like the rest of us, or did you know just beforehand? Callum said he knew probably about half an hour before the fight was pretty much done for him. Yeah,
it's very similar. The thing was all last week, and more so over the weekend, you're getting texts going, congratulations, you got the fight. And this isn't from also, but good people in the business, very close to it, congratulations. Then yesterday evening, obviously we've seen the notice, and yesterday I was working with Callum's lawyer, Sean, and we're going through the contract, different other things, and that was up to like 7, 8 o'clock last night. We were working on that still, and yeah, so it was mad. Yet people were saying congratulations, you got the fight, and it was like, but we haven't. And Canelo's announcing it, so we're thinking, is this a bit of a bluff? Like, is it Calaplan? Is it possibly Eubank Jr.? Is it Truax? It was anything but. For people to say the fight was done and everything else, it wasn't. As I just said to you, and Callum said to you, we didn't know, and we all tuned in to make sure we hadn't been had. And although we were speaking in Mexican, we were just waiting for Smith. As soon as he had Smith, right, we got it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was it. So, no, great. Listen, I'm really pleased for Callum-Smith. Ironically, 8 years ago, yesterday, he made his professional debut. 8 years later, he's announced that he's fighting the pound-for-pound number one in the world, and he's the number one super middleweight in the world. And, yeah, it was quite ironic, that, and it's a great journey. And I said to Callum last night, we spoke afterwards, and let's go and finish this job that we've started together. It's been a great journey, and now we've got a great chance now of pulling off a fantastic win.
It's in and around kind of a 4-week period from when the fight was announced last night up until fight night. I know Callum's been in the gym for the past however many months, but when gyms were able to open back up from lockdown, and I imagine so in these last few months he's really picked it up. But will that make any difference, having only 4 weeks from an official announcement to the night of the fight in terms of preparations?
I've just been asked that in another interview. I'm sort of like a bit of the old school. I've always wanted my fighters in the gym, not the era that's gone before where they're ballooned up like fighters in the gym, ticking over. You've seen today Natasha Jonas sparring, Liam Smith sparring. They're all in the gym. They always tick over. So Callum's always ticked over all year. It's not like he's just got out of bed and go, you got 4 weeks. You've seen the shape of him. He's in good shape. But where we are 4 weeks out now, Callum was always going to try and fight in December. There was a short list of opponents drafted up, and we were looking at that. So he was training. But now with 3 weeks training left, because you can't count the last week. We're in America last week. There's no training, but the 3 weeks work we've done now, we have to lock in, get the sparring partners, and like I said at the beginning of the interview, full credit to both boys, because now we have to go and try and get the best Callum-Smith whilst we're in a pandemic, while we're in a lockdown, get sparring partners while there's corona going on, hospitality, hotels open, accommodation. So you've seen today, the sparring today, and 4 weeks out, Callum-Smith's in a very good place, and I think that the next 3 weeks' work will top everything off that we've already done, but we can now concentrate on one guy. I know exactly it is him, and it's not that we haven't been there before. We've been there with Liam Smith with him. We've been around the Canelo Fight Week experience, the huge press, the entourages, the huge crowds, although that isn't that this time. But we understand, and Callum's always come through watching his big brothers, Paul fighting Andre Ward, Liam fighting Canelo, Kroller Lemachenko. So big fight week is used to, and he's just got to take it in his stride. We know what to expect, and we're just really looking forward to it now.
For Callum, how does he defeat Canelo in your eyes, and how different is the game plan for Callum in comparison to what it was for Liam Smith when he fought Canelo previously? Yeah,
totally different. You've got two different fighters, two different style of fighters. Liam put a fantastic performance up against Canelo. People don't really mention that much. I really would like to have some British officials involved in the fight, British Boxing Board and control over there, and get a fair crack, whether it be a British ref or a British judge. But I understand the saying goes, when you're in Vegas, you do what Vegas says, or commissions wise. But I would like that. But stylistic wise, I've got to beat Canelo. Well, we'll have to wait and see till fight night. We know what Canelo's very good at. And I'm a huge fan of Canelo, but there's ways of beating him. We've got to make sure that we bring a game A, game B, and it's good enough to win, and get an honest shake of the cards.
How big would this win be from Callum for British boxing in kind of the past few decades, in your opinion?
Well, I just think when was the last time Britain had a pound for pound number one?
Going back to Lennox?
Okay, then there you go. So that tells you that the magnitude of the win, because Callum-Smith beats Canelo Alvarez. As you see the headlines, the pound for pound king's returning. We beat him, we take that title. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. You got to put Callum in that mix then, 100%.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, we'll just see. But they're the goals that we want to achieve. And like I said, Callum wants to go in there and compete with the best. And I'm so happy for him, his family. It's been a tough 18 months getting over the fine. I remember being in Arizona this time last year, close to having a meeting with Eddie Reynoso. And fair play to Eddie Reynoso. He said that day he wants Callum-Smith next. For whatever reasons, we don't know what's going on amidst there. Then the Billy Joe got it for me, didn't happen. But Eddie Reynoso, I believe, asked for this fight, and it was up to him on it. So fair play, and I'm so glad, and he stuck to his word, and I'm so happy for Callum-Smith more than anyone. Really happy, because he's got a chance now to show the world what I've always known, how good he is, and he can go out in this fight and showcase that.
Yeah, Joe, just pick that one back up there, just a slight technical fault, sorry. Going back in there with the Callum versus Canelo talk, what would it mean to you on a personal level to see Callum crowned victorious on December 19th?
Listen, it'd be great, but I think when Callum won it in Jeddah, I was so happy for him. I shed a tear in the ring, and I just want Callum to do this. I have so much belief in him from day one, and we've gone through everything. We've made decisions. I upset people by putting Callum in the World Boxing Super Series when everyone said I was going to kill his career, waste it. He went in there, he won it, he came out the champion and everything. And then I've gone through a tough year for him to become the pound for pound winner. I think it means so much to Callum. For me, I'm happy if Callum's happy, and that's it. And it's all about Callum. There's a little bit of I'd love to beat Eddie Reynoso, but like you say, it's Callum. I'd love Callum to absolutely do it. Really would. Everyone knows in the gym we've got to move heaven and earth to try and get this win and be the best that we can be.
What's the plan with regards to when you have to fly over, how you're going to quarantine, how it affects your training? Have you guys started planning for that? Have you got any idea as of yet that's been passed on to you?
No, the amount of times we've always been over America, we've been over a few times. It's always usually the same state of affairs. So most of we go over the Friday, the week before. And it's just no problem. They're just sorting out the logistics now of the hotels and where we're stopping and the facilities and the restaurants and the food and just all that type of stuff.
We haven't had an official announcement with regards to the venue yet. A lot of people seeming to think it's going to take place in Texas, back at where the AT&T Stadium. Have you got any knowledge as to where it could go?
No, at the moment, as you said there, I thought if Callum touched on it, that there was either the AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium or the Alamo Dome, yeah. And then the other one was Las Vegas as well, so they're the ones that are still out there, and we still don't know yet. But I think that the fact that there's tickets for fans to go over there, I don't know how that's got to work. We've got sorting all that logistically wise out at the moment with quarantining or lockdown or whatever, so we'll know more by the end of the week. Fingers crossed everyone stays healthy and the fight goes ahead.
Is that in some ways, everybody knows Canelo has a huge following, and on the night I imagine whoever is able to get into the venue will be majoritarily supporting Canelo. But is it a relief in the sense that you'll actually have a normal fight atmosphere in comparison to what you would have had with Tasha Jonas at fight camp when it was silent because he was behind closed doors?
Yeah, either or, wouldn't have bothered us really. Either or. I've always said some fighters thrive off a crowd, and Callum v Canelo behind closed doors. You've seen Josh Taylor, what Frank Warren did down there at York Hall. He still went in and performed. I would have been more than happy for Callum and Canelo to have happened in them circumstances. Callum had travelled all over the world as an amateur, fighting in empty sports halls, so it wouldn't have made a difference really. I do feel the crowd, or packed crowd, does sway the officials. So, like I say, we're just going back to early on. We just want a fair shake of the cards.
Moving away from Callum, as hard as that is at the minute, Joe, there's a lot to get through with regards to the gym. We saw him sharing a ring with his brother Liam. Everything's kind of been silent on him for these past 8 or 9 months with the pandemic. Have you got any update as to what could be lined up for him?
No, I haven't. Liam's in the gym. You've seen his sparring today, his training. He said he spoke to MTK and they're on about possibly getting him out in the new year. When in the new year, I don't know, whether that's January, February, March, I don't know. So, yeah, we'll just wait to hear and see.
Liam said to me that he saw that Eddie Hearn mentioned the JoyceDawa fight once again. Would that be the one for you if you can't get the Teixeira fight, which I know you spoke about previously? I know Teixeira has a fight coming up, but is that the one for you which kind of tops the list?
Anyone who fights that wants to fight Liam Smith. I've always said the European title fight is a good fight for Liam Smith at the moment. It gives you a good ranking. It's another belt, European belt for him, something he can get up to. And Garcia is familiar with the UK crowd. I think that's a good fight for Liam SmithVargas. It's always talked about, but he's got to want too much money. He'll want loads of money. Liam will end up getting not much money. And it's been talked about too much. It's just like there's more kids than Vargas. I said to Liam, we were talking the other day, well, I wonder if there's a chance you'd get you on the undercard of that Teixeira fight. I think it's in February. Liam just needs to fight whoever. Whenever I've said in many interviews, we'll fight Cheeseman, we'll fight whoever. Do you know what I mean? Liam just needs to fight. Times, like I say, not on his side. He's in his prime now and he needs to fight.
And then with Tasha, we know Tasha was a pundit for Sky this weekend watching the Taylor versus Gutierrez belt. We saw Terry Harper on that card. Didn't seem to be mentioned of a possible rematch on the night. What is lined up for Tasha? Do you think we will see the Terry Harper rematch at some point next or in the coming months?
I'd hope so. I've seen a few interviews since from it the weekend. And to quote Eddie and the women's pay scale, he was saying, well, they've got to make themselves more popular or it goes on the popularity for the wage. Well, the two biggest, let's say 3 biggest women's fights in British boxing at the moment is Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas, Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron, Natasha Jonas, Terry Harper. Tasha features in 2 of the 3 of them. Natasha Jonas' profile, I think, is right up there. Do you understand? At the moment, not to Katie Taylor level, but she is. Obviously, she's doing podcasts, she's doing everything. So it's like, well, there should be enough money to generate enough money for 2 fighters there. So that's a fight that everyone wants to see. It's up for one of the fights of the year. It was one of the fights of fight camp. And for them to turn around and say, Steffi Bull saying, oh, there was no controversy, it was only Tasha and Joe and a few Scousers. Well, I think everyone in Boxing News and the panel that week, I've not seen one boxing person in the industry say it won, and it is a fight, and they can run and run about unifications and everything else, but sooner or later you've got to come back and deal with it. And I think Sky should have a big say in it as well, because it's a fight that everyone wants to see. And Dylan White and Povetkin rematch was done. I don't think there was a big demand to see that rematch being made. I don't really see many people talking and desperately wanting to see that fight, but I see a lot of people saying that should be a rematch. We want to see that, so do the right thing. As you see, Tasha's in the gym training. She's learning. She's learned so much. She's coming on, and she'll be ready for that rematch. I see her name linked with Katie Taylor. If that fight happens, I'm sure Tasha will take that with both hands. Anyone from 130 to 140, Natasha will fight.
Just with both Terry and Katie, what did you make of their victories this past weekend?
Yeah, I thought Katie Taylor was very good, but it's the same thing. It isn't just me saying it. I think that the case of mandatories, you've got to understand women's sport, women's boxing hasn't got the strength in depth yet for that, but it is coming. You look at 22 years ago, it was Jane Couch. Look at it now, where it is. You've got Savannah Marshall, Chantel Cameron, do you understand? Katie, Tasha, Rachel Ball. So there's good fighters. In another 5-6 years, there'll be more. You've got Caroline Dubois, GB. I've got 3 or 4 girls in my academy that are national champions. They are coming, and it will change in 10 years' time. There will be a bit more strength and depth. But for the fights at the weekend, none of them were ever got to win the fights. Katie was whatever favourite before the fight. Terry Harper was a favourite before the fight of Thandres. And I thought Rachel Ball had the most difficult opponents, who was quite good, slipped well in everything else. And I thought that was the best fight, but the other ones were just standard, do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people do want to see Jonas Harper instead of Harper versus mandatory, or Katie via mandatory, do you understand? I'd love to see Taylor defeating Parsons 3. I really enjoyed that fight. I'd love to see that again. There is good fights out there like that.
Joe, moving away from them guys and on to some of the people who weren't here today. Paul Butler, what is the latest with Paul?
Paul, obviously, he's had a win. He's training. He just wasn't in today. And we're just waiting to see what happens with Inoue and what he does next, because all the belts are tied up there. And we'll just wait to see in that. But he's in a good place. And, we'll just wait to see what happens now over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Alex Magani, a new member of the team. I haven't caught him up here the couple of times I've been up here since the announcement that you was training him. What is the plan for Alex, and what's been kind of impressive for you since he's been working here?
I think Alex is a really good kid. I like Alex an awful lot. He's come here. He's somebody that goes out of his way to do the best what's right for him. He took himself off to Mexico it was in Bernstein's gym for 3 or 4 years. He was involved in that great fight recently on Channel 5, Mick Hennessy's show. And after that, then he's decided to come up and want to join us. Been really impressed with him the 4 or 5 weeks he's been here. And I said, just come up for 4 or 5 weeks, give it a trial and see what you think of it. He absolutely loves it. He's gelled well with the lads. He's got a bit of a Scott Quigg mentality. He's always wanting to learn. He's thirsty for knowledge. He's training, he's studying. He watches everyone spar, does everything. And he's a nice kid as well. He's a humble kid. He's got a good heart. He's got a good soul. And he's a nice kid. And when there's people like that, you want to do the best for them. He was due to fight on Mick is his manager. He was due for him to fight in, I think, December sometime. Alex has got to go home. There's some problem at home, or he's gone home to look after his mum a little bit. And Mick has said he's off that bill now. He's got to be out in February, something like that. So that'll be good then, because I really do feel he's a really good kid. And there's kids like that in the sport that put the heart and soul into it, and is on about moving up here to Bolton, getting a house here in Bolton and committing full time. And them type of kids, you want to do nothing but help them, because they're willing to go that mile. So you are with them as well, and I'd love to see that kid really do well in 2021.
A few more to touch on, Joe, off the top of my head. I don't think I'll forget anyone. Sam Hoyt, last time we spoke, you said that Sam was kind of just doing work away from boxing to keep things ticking over from himself. Is that still the same case?
Yeah, it's still the same case. He's doing well. He's getting his business. Obviously, it's tough for him. He's in the gym. He's training though at his own gym, and he's selling these gym come settees that he's flogging. So no, Sam's doing well, but I think he'll be back and ready to. When you seen the fight for the British title being made and Dean Juma out injured, he was itching to get back in, and I think now he'll be ready to go in 2021. There's some big fights for him.
Stephen Swifty Smith, the other Smith brother who just wasn't here today. Where's his career, Joe? Is he still looking to get back into the ring, or has this pandemic kind of put an end to kind of his thoughts as to what he wants to do in boxing? Or
No, I think obviously the pandemic, everyone's got to try and go and get some money and work. And I spoke to Stephen a few months ago, and there's opportunities for him, but we're just waiting for things. Things should have materialised sooner than they have, but because of lockdown and no crowds and certain fights not happened, they haven't. But there could be opportunity for Stephen there now in the new year, 2021, and hopefully it materialises and he's out again. But that's it with Stephen.
the last man that we haven't touched on yet, Josiah Burton. Haven't heard anything off him since his defeat to Bolotniks in Latvia. What's kind of Josiah Burton's state of play? How's he feeling at the minute?
Yeah, Alfie's okay. He's up training with Tyson. Well, he was until the fight got pulled out. Tyson was due to fight in. Tyson said to him, come and join us in my camp. You know what Tyson's like, he's his cousin, and they have good crack, good banter. Alfie was in Vegas. So Alfie's been up there doing some work with Tyson and Sugar Hill and enjoying all that experience. I see Frank say that show may still go on. And hopefully Alfie might get a slot in that. But I'll wait to see. I'll wait to hear from Alfie. It'd be great if it does. But yeah, he's just enjoying life being around Tyson Fury at the moment.
That show does certainly still seem to be going on. The Yard Arthur has been announced for that fight date. So show, as I say, still be going on. Just get your thoughts, Joe, on a few things before I do let you shoot off, because I know you're a busy man. This past weekend, Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook. Terence Crawford stopping Kell Brook early into their fight. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought, as well as Kell did early on, I thought Terence, when they're at that level, they're having a look and they're having a look, and it was big for Kell to come back at 147. And I've always said, is making the weight, but you don't know how you got to perform when you're making a weight, and Kell not making that weight for a long time. We're seeing then really whether it took a bit of punch resistance away from him or whatever, but it was a great shot. It was on an area where he's had damage before, and it was a good performance by Terence Crawford, and you can see that for the titles that he's won, he's still hungry for more. He wants the big fights. He's got that spite, that nastiness. He's not sitting on it. He wants to go out there and prove himself against a Spence or a Pacquiao.
Dubois Joyce next weekend, Joe. Break it down for me. How do you see the fight playing out?
Really good fight. Fan of both fighters. Joyce obviously coming off the GB setup, Olympics. Daniel Dubois, very good fighter. Really did well against Gorman, and this is his big test. I'm sure they've sparred each other in the past. I'm sure someone's got an advantage, another one's got an advantage another day. And only they know deep down. I think I likened it the other day very much to a Michael Watson, Nigel Benn type of fight early on in the careers. That the loser doesn't mean they're finished. They can come back again. Joyce keeps coming. He's strong. He's been around with AJ for years. Daniel Dubois physically looks the part. Good shot selection, and I think it's a really good fight. I think Joyce has to land early on Daniel Dubois. I really think he does. And Dubois has got to be fit, because if he doesn't put him away, Joyce has just got to keep coming and coming and coming. And it's a real pick and fight. I change each day, and I just can't pick him at the moment. It really is a 50-50 fight. And what a great fight that is. Full credit to both boys taking it again.
And the final thing I just want to touch on, Joe, another fight concerning the super middleweight division that's been announced is a man who was mentioned for Canelo and also mentioned for Callum-Smith in Billy Joe Saunders. He'll be facing Martin Murray. What do you make of their fight early December?
It's a good fight. Know both boys well. They know each other well. And I know I've seen and read on Martin Murray, it's a payday. Listen, there's nothing about that Martin Murray. Martin Murray's going into that to try and win that fight. Billy Joe, you see the way he's training, he knows Martin Murray's got to come. If it's not a best Billy Joe, he's got problems with Martin Murray. And the same thing as well, if Martin Murray isn't at his best, Billy Joe's got to give him a schooling. And I think this is going to be a more competitive fight than a lot of people think. Obviously, Billy Joe's got the movement and everything else, but Martin Murray, he's been there, he's been in the big fights. Not many people give him a chance against Triple G. They never give him a chance to Sergio Martinez. And he acquitted himself very well. Very, very well against Sergio Martinez. Some thought he may have nicked that. So I think the fight's got to be a good fight. Both coming in after inactivity spells, and it's a good fight. But if it was to go for anyone, I'd much rather say Billy Joe on points.
Right, Joe, we'll leave that there, and I will leave you now to shoot off because I know you're a busy man and you've got other things to do. Best of luck with the remainder of preparations for Callum. I'm sure I'll catch up with you before you guys have to shoot off there. Thank you as always for speaking to me and Boxing Social.
Yeah, no problem, Andy. Good to see you.